She's an award-winning YouTuber and best-selling author obsessed with helping you go after the life you want.
I like it.
Join her as she seeks out the stories and strategies
Give me every little detail.
of extraordinary people who found success.
I'm going to get emotional. Oh my God.
Welcome to Detail Therapy with Amy Landino.
Hey there, welcome back to Detail Therapy. In this episode, I'm going to be sharing a lot of stuff to get us ready for the new year. First, a review of my resolutions and goals from 2018, the only New Year's resolution that matters to me next year, my word for 2019, and finally, a few things I'm thinking about starting, stopping, and continuing in the new year. We have a lot to get into, but first, I feel I need to welcome you back to the show. We took a little bit of a break. I'll get into that in just a second. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Amy Landino, and I will be the host of this show. I'm a YouTube creator, professional speaker, best-selling author, and entrepreneur in business for the last 10 years. You can find out more details about me by visiting youtube.com/AmyTV. In fact, I do recommend you subscribe there because this podcast is a great complement to what we talk about in the videos. I don't know if you've ever heard of Jim Rohn, but he's the most amazing entrepreneur, speaker, motivator who's no longer with us, but used to say something really important that resonates with me every day. And that is that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. I believe this in everything that I do, and that's really why I wanted to start this podcast, so that you can continue to surround yourself with people who can teach you things from their life experiences and continue to make it a more positive day every day for you by learning through those experiences. If you've been tuning in for a while now, we are on episode 9, but we have been on a tiny break. Basically, December, we had to take some time off. You may have heard episode 8, which explains more details about a little bit of a rough patch that I've had in my personal life. And if you want more details about that, you're more than welcome to, but we are leaving that in 2018 for the most part, as much as we can. And I am back to say that we are here better than ever. And I have so many amazing interviews to share with you in the coming weeks and throughout 2019. Very excited to get rolling again. If you've been following me on Instagram at Schmatastic, you've probably seen a little bit here or there. Or if you've been following the YouTube channel, there have been some samplings of what is to come on the podcast. So if you're not following behind the scenes, get on it. Come on. So let's get into things here. If you listened to the last episode of Detail Therapy, I did tell you, I promise I'm going to have a podcast before the new year. And here we are, published a little bit earlier than usual. It's a Monday instead of a Tuesday. Don't get too freaked out. It's just this week. The holidays really kind of made it hard for me to jump back in here earlier than the new year. But I wanted to make sure we had something before January 1 because I'm a total sucker for this time of year. Fresh slates are my favorite thing. New Year's is probably my favorite holiday. If we're being honest, if we're just breaking it down, it's my favorite holiday because no matter how far you've come, whether you had a great year or whether you had a troubling year, or if it just wasn't your best moment or you didn't get as much accomplished as you would have liked, it doesn't matter. You could be on the up and up or not. And a new year signifies so many possibilities to me. And if you think similarly, then I think you're going to love this episode. If you don't think like that, and if you're one of those people that's like, I hate resolutions, they're ridiculous, they mean nothing, I can have a resolution anytime I want, I don't have to have a certain date on the calendar for that, that's okay. Because that just reflects the type of person that you are in how you meet expectations and how you keep habits yourself. So we're all different, and no matter what side of the coin you're on, or maybe you're on a more gray area, then just take everything that we talk about today, if you're still willing to listen, of course, that as just an opportunity to think about things that maybe would be good for you to consider in the future if you wanted to maybe shape some areas of your life to be a little bit better than it was before. So that's my advice on that. But I really wanted to just share a lot of things that I'm thinking about going into the new year, because as much as I am a sucker for this time, I'm also feeling very differently than usual going into the new year, because I think when you have such a huge blow in your life as I have in the last couple of months, you really start to look at things a lot differently and the importance of things a lot differently. And so hopefully how I kind of explain what I'm thinking going into 2019 will give you some clarity there. But in order to go into next year, it is tradition, we must look at the last year. And so I've opened up my bullet journal here. And I thought it would be appropriate for me to share just a few of the goals I had written down for 2018. And I had just a ridiculously long list of resolutions. So this should just be a riot for all of us, truly. Okay, so first and foremost, let's talk about resolutions. I had quite a few written down. And the first thing that I did, if you are looking at my bullet journal, which you're not, but I'm going to explain it to you, is that it has a word at the top. And that word was my word of the year. And that was the word that I was hoping I would proceed throughout the year with. And I think I actually wrote down my resolutions first and then decided on my word of the year based on what those resolutions looked like. And so let me walk through the resolutions first, and then we'll get into the word of the year. So this is so funny for me to read now, but we're going to read it. Okay. So the first one's stop explaining myself. This is something I've always felt very strongly about, and I've tried to work on for a lot longer than just the last year, because I do feel as women, sometimes we do this a bit too much. But I think men too. I mean, it's everyone across the board. You should really be thinking about, are you over explaining because you feel like you need to make somebody understand why you do something? And I genuinely feel that most times you do not need to do that. Now, if you're talking about a life-altering decision and you're married to somebody that their whole life would change because of this, it's a little bit of a different situation. But I tend to over-explain my actions if somebody so much as asks me a question in my direction of whatever I'm doing. And it's a lot for everybody. I'm doing it because it's adding stress, and for whatever reason I feel I need it, I just get into it. And the other person's like, I literally just asked you a question and you didn't have to tell me all that. So stop explaining myself. I didn't mark a check on this because I don't think it's ever fully done. I think you're never fully there. So that one I'm probably considering adding onto my thoughts for 2019. Stop snoozing the alarm. Yes, believe it or not, I love to snooze the alarm, but I do still get up at a reasonable hour. I have gotten a lot better about this, but you can always get better. And let's be real, morning routines, they still happened in the latter half of the year for me, but waking up early did not. I was not in a headspace that it was even possible for me, and I wasn't having to report for work because I just took the time off for some mental, just rehabilitation. And so snoozing the alarm still continues to happen sometimes. It's not perfect. I'm not perfect, but I definitely still have a level of drive and ambition where I know I'm like, oh, okay, well, now I have to stop hitting it like the third time. Okay. All right. And yes, by the way, I'm being honest with you because even though it seems like it would stop it completely from happening when you leave your phone in the other room to sleep at night, I still find a way to hit the snooze and then go back to bed. It happens, you just gotta be real about it and say, stop doing it. Why are you doing that? Like, you're literally doing everything possible to stop yourself from doing that and you still do it. Why? Okay, well, there's clearly a mindset thing going on there. Next, I had up my workout game. That was something I gave myself a check mark to. We have been working with a trainer I haven't been working with him for a year. Vin has been working with him for almost a year. And I kind of joined in the spring or the summer, I think. So definitely up to my workout game there. And I feel like I definitely understand calories and fitness and like muscle building a lot better than I did before, mostly because I didn't want to know before, if we're being honest about that. So I definitely have been working on that a ton. Start morning pages routine. I was dabbling in it in 2017. I definitely felt excited about it in 2017, but not the way I did in 2018. And I gave myself a check mark on that. I've done morning pages. Probably I want to give myself at least a 70% on that. I have been doing morning pages almost every morning from the past year. So that's a really good feeling to know that I stuck with that. The next thing I have is keep a gratitude journal. I do have that. I keep that next to my bed. And the nice thing about the gratitude journal is that I don't make myself do it in the morning, although I do think I'm going to change that up in 2019. But I keep it next to my bed so that it's a reflection thing I can do before I go to sleep. And then I think about things throughout the day, knowing I'm going to fill out a few things I'm grateful for at the end of the day. I look for things then throughout the day, which I think is great for mindfulness and thinking about, okay, what's really good right now? What are you grateful about? Remember to write that down later. And so that's kind of a great way to find more opportunities to be grateful throughout the day. So that's worked out for me great. Find and maintain a meditation habit. As far as I got with meditation was I do it on a not regular basis. I would say I'm meditating like 5 times a month right now, which bums me out. I would love to be doing it more. I get excited whenever I'm doing it, but then I just get so excited about all the other things I want to do that I don't do it. So I haven't maintained it. I don't think it's a habit at all. And I did get as far as purchasing a membership with Headspace. That's pretty much it. So it's paid for the year, but got to get my game. No check mark there. Next, I have simplify and document my closet. I love the idea. If anyone's ever seen Clueless, if you ever watched Clueless in your childhood, you've always wanted to document your closet. I don't care who you are. I didn't get as far as documentation this year because obviously that's just like a big to-do and I haven't really fully grasped what that looks like, but I did simplify the crap out of my closet. I removed a lot of things. We talked about this on the channel at one point. I did a lot of selling of stuff, donating of stuff, throwing out of stuff, just clothes I looked at and just hated looking at the fact that it was still there, even though I kept telling myself I would wear it. So I gave myself like a half check mark on that. The next one I have is cut out cheese. That didn't work out. I love me some cheese. Love cheese. Just end of story. No check mark there. Next, I have follow a vitamin regimen. I have been on a very consistent vitamin regimen most of the year, so I gave myself a check mark on that. It just feels so good to know that I've kind of got that base covered. Even they make it so easy these days with things like Care of or Ritual or whatever your preferred vitamin regimen is. I've been using Care of, but they make it so easy for you to just like look into the things that you want for yourself and then take something regularly. It's great. Plus, with the way things are with renewable memberships and they're always coming in the mail so you don't forget. So as long as you're taking them, it works out great. And then I have a bunch of things I definitely did not check off. Find and explore a creative hobby. My work is creative, so this ends up always being this sort of like teeter-totter thing. Like, well, if you just would take more photos, then that would be creative. Okay, but I didn't do that as much as I would like, and that's also something I could do for my work, so it becomes muddy there. Read at least 10 pages a day. I did not do this, and I love the idea of doing this, and I advise people do this because it's the easiest way to read a book on a consistent basis. But in 2018, I was much more likely to batch read, essentially. And I actually did beat my goal in 2018. I wanted to read 15 books, and I have a Goodreads account, if you're wondering how I keep track of that. Goodreads.com, I believe, /Metastic. And I did read 21 books. I think I'm on 21 books out of 15, so that was pretty good. But I have very lofty reading goals next year. So this is definitely a resolution I like, but I'm not thinking about it as a resolution next year. I'm just thinking about it as a guideline, which I'll get into that in a little bit. Explore interior design and decorate the apartment. I did not do a good job with this. We have some basics in the apartment. I wish it, my office, I tend to know how to take care of my office pretty easily because it's on camera all the time. But other than a little bit of work with like buying prints from Desenio, which I did get some really great prints from Desenio this year. So there's stuff on the wall, which is great, but it's not as much as I would have liked to have done. So I didn't get myself a check mark there. And then the last one being keep a journal of things to notice what actually brings me joy. I found myself at the beginning of last year in 2017 going like, oh, I really like coconut. Like coconut a lot of everything. Like coconut in everything. It makes me happy. That was something that inspired, like, I should write that down so I don't forget that because it's so easy to forget these things. And I know it sounds silly, but like even just remembering the things that get you excited, getting you happy, just continuing to keep track of that so that you can refer to it when you desperately need it. I just think is so important. But I didn't end up keeping that journal. As a matter of fact, I have no idea where it is. I think I wrote 3 things in it, and that's all. But that's definitely something I'm going to be working on for the next year. So that was a list of resolutions. I didn't say everything, but that was quite a bit to dissect. But from that, I really liked the word simplify. So simplify was my word for 2018. I don't know if I did a great job with that. I think in a lot of ways, my content online was very much simplified and very easy for people to consume, which I liked. I simplified a lot of things around the house in terms of cleaning things out, getting really acquainted with throwing things away that do not need to exist in your life anymore. That's definitely something I think I feel good about. So maybe I give myself a half on this. I think I did okay on the side of simplifying, but I do like to complicate things very much. So I'm not 100% sure I'm sold on how well I did with that word this year. In regards to goals, which is sort of like the other side of my bullet journal that I have written down, I have all of this stuff on the same 2 pages right in front of me. So it's easy for me to look at it at a glance and just be able to refer to it throughout the year. The first thing, which I did achieve, was getting my 100K play bar from YouTube, which I was really excited about. We reached 100,000 subscribers at the beginning of the year. I think it was February. And then the play bar came so much faster than I thought. So that this beautiful trophy, probably the only trophy I've ever gotten for anything, is hanging up in my office, which I love. And thank you if you're one of those people that subscribed, because not only did you help me with that, but we ended up getting to 200,000 subscribers in June, which is so awesome. And I'm saying this, and we're like 4,000 away from 300,000. So this year has been, I have to say, really incredible from a professional standpoint. Another one of my goals here, I have specific numbers written down, but I'll just tell you, I didn't achieve my revenue goal, but I was so far beyond what we did last year that it was great to have a stretch goal, because I think I did better because of that. Another one of my goals was to go on a honeymoon, which was great for a personal win. We did that. I was like, let's get that in there. And then I had, new clients that I wanted to bring into Aftermark, how many I wanted with that. We didn't quite get there, but we were about 50% of the way, which is awesome. And then another one that I was able to check off was to launch a podcast for confident women. And I like how I phrased that at the beginning of last year. And I know we only launched it here in October. We're only on episode 9 right now. But I like how I phrased that because, I was thinking about it. It's not for confident women, but we're all confident in some way, and we need to find the confidence that we need to pick up along the way. And I think detail therapy is serving that for you. And whether or not you're doing something right according to what you think or wrong, there's always practical advice in these episodes that can help you figure it out along the way. Another goal here was to reach 300,000 subscribers, which I wrote later on, obviously, because we reached 100,000. So, but we didn't reach that goal, but we're like 99% of the way there, which is pretty cool. And another goal that I had was reducing some of my student loan debt, which hasn't quite gotten to where I want it yet, but we got a lot further along than I was, definitely a lot further along. It was a huge stretch goal that I wrote down, and I was like, oh, it's almost gone, but it's like, okay, no, it's still there. So that is what's happening with my 2018. I'm not stoked about it, but quite frankly, November, December were a total crapshoot. Like I basically disappeared. So I think at the end of the day, it's just sort of, whatever. It is what it is. I think the important thing about reviewing what happened in 2018 is it just feels good to be able to say you can keep track of something, even if you're keeping track of something that didn't happen, that you wanted to happen, rather than going, oh my gosh, where did 2018 go? That's what I like about this bullet journal. That's what I like about resolutions. That's what I like about goals. That's what I like about writing all this stuff down, is at minimum, we can keep track and we can really feel like we did something with our time. I also love using my calendar for that too. Man, do I love to scroll back and see all the crazy stuff I've done in my time. Calendar blocking will really let you know what you've been up to. So now we're moving into 2019. And when it comes to resolutions, I'm probably taking a cue from my word of 2018, which is simplify, because I really only feel strongly about one resolution. Nothing else is like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this and that. It's really like one guiding light resolution to be paired with my word of the year. And I actually feel that they fit pretty well together. So first, let me start with the resolution. The interesting thing about this is that it's the only thing that's occurred to me, and I really feel strongly about telling you, but if I actually said it out loud, I would have to censor myself. So cue to all the parents that have kids around, but I'm not going to say it. I'm just going to say a version of it, just in case. I don't want to upset anybody, and I don't want to censor myself today. It's just not how I'm feeling. I feel going into next year strongly about a feeling I had when my little brother passed away a couple months ago. And that feeling is something I couldn't believe what I was identifying. I just thought, I get to decide anything right now. And whatever my gut is, if somebody asks me a question, or if somebody says, do you want to do something, or do you want to walk here, or do you want to do this, do you want to do that? I just did not feel sad or stressed about saying whatever I thought or saying exactly what I wanted. I'm fairly good at that, but I really am not 100% on that. I will usually kind of gauge like, well, what do you want to do? I don't know. Well, after Johnny passed away, I just did not care what anybody wanted from me. I didn't care what anyone was thinking. I wasn't trying to balance other people's feelings with mine. It was like, it sounds terrible, but it was like the ultimate excuse to stop caring so much about everybody else. And I remember that feeling so well because I didn't want it to go away. It did. It did, of course, go away. It went away after about like a week or two. And then suddenly I was sort of like fielding other people again and starting to like just be more empathetic and sympathetic. I'm not saying that you lose those feelings entirely, but there's something so amazing about just not caring so much about situations or things or people or feelings, and to just truly listen to yourself. So if you know what I mean by IDGAF, that's the mentality I want to go into 2019 with. What I think this accomplishes is it allows me to stop shooting for perfectionism. It allows me to stop overanalyzing what somebody's thinking or feeling in trying to gauge something and go into it the way that is pleasant and vanilla and preferable to everyone. I tend to make up a lot of this stuff in my own head. And I know that you know what I'm talking about, especially if you tend to deal with perfectionism issues. So pretty much, I think it's a combination of a resolution and a mantra is to just go into things not being overly worried about the stupid stuff and to just say, IDGAF. IDGAF. That's pretty much it. And so with that, my word of the year, and it took me a little while to figure out which the right one was, but it is going to be poise. The reason I chose this word is for a second I was thinking I liked the word grace. Like there was something really beautiful about that. But that word for me just doesn't feel like a fit because it might be going too much toward my usual tendencies of perfectionism. I want aspects of grace, but there are other things. If you look up the word poise and you really understand like the definition of it and what contributes to it as a word, it's things like confidence and level-headedness. It feels a little bit regal, but not too much. The most important parts of it being self-control, assuredness, and things like that. So to me, poise is all of those things. And what I need to be able to do is have more poise in situations where if the plan is working according to plan, excellent. Poise is probably going to show up in a big way. But if the plan is not going according to plan, then that is the time when I need to remember that word, remember IDGAF, And go ahead. Let it be. Just keep going and try to figure out what happens when it's all done, because you're going to get on the other side and you're going to go from there. So that's sort of my approach at the moment to 2019. It feels very clear to me. It feels like something that I will write down, I will feel good about, and I won't be like, oh man, what was my resolution again? And flip back to my bullet journal and be like, wow, you have like 80 resolutions. Amy, get a hold of yourself. You don't need that. But with that being the direction I'm headed in, and hopefully this is inspiring to you. I don't mean to be so me, but I just feel like I have to speak from my heart and tell you what I'm thinking for myself, so that if there's anything here that rings true for you, then hopefully you have that aha moment before the clock strikes 12 and it's a brand new year and we can go into this thing together and feel like we're on the right foot. And by the way, I'm very passionate right now, so I keep hitting the microphone with my hand, so apologies for that. With all of that being said, I still have some things that I'm thinking about that aren't necessarily resolutions, but are guiding things that I would like to have happening in 2019 if it does work out, but things that are important to me. So I'm just using the new year as a cue to reprioritize some things I've let fall by the wayside in some ways. So I have 3 lists, and I'm just going to briefly touch on them. I'm not reading everything. Continue, start, and stop. And I actually got this idea from Michelle B., who has a great motivational and habits YouTube channel. If you're subscribed to me and you like me, you need to follow her. She's fantastic. She's based in Australia, I believe, and I just love to see what she's up to whenever I'm watching YouTube videos. I tend to create more than I absorb, but that's what's going on. So continue, start, and stop. I think I'm going to start with continue, because that feels like, oh, good. It's just things we're continuing to do and maybe need to get re-energized about. The first thing is, actually, I've already mentioned it, the bullet journal. I did a great job with my bullet journal in 2017. I did an okay job in 2018. There's not as much in this journal as there was in 2017. And I pretty much, when I filled in November in 2018, I just said, worst month ever. That's the only thing written in November for 2018 in my bullet journal. So if you don't know what a bullet journal is, I highly recommend you check out a video online about it. And I think I'm going to be making a YouTube video about my setup for 2019 in the future. But I also have another video. It's either 2017 or 2018, and how I created it had to be 2017 because I filmed it in the old apartment. My 2017, how I structured my bullet journal. So if you want to go check that out. The goal here being it's a place for you to keep as much as you possibly can and document it by page numbers and moments in time. So everything is structured by, okay, it's the month of January. You know, you put your task lists in here, you put ideas in here, you put pretty much anything you want, but it's easier to find everything because you are basically creating a table of contents for yourself. I love it. I just need to get back into it because I got a little romantic with all my notebooks around. I have like literally 80 notebooks sitting on my desk right now. The next thing I want to continue is lemon water. This is my favorite habit that I have, is waking up every morning and having lemon water, because I'm fairly great at it. Not very often am I out of lemons, and not very often do I miss this, unless I'm traveling and I just like don't have one. But I've just gotten so good at just making sure I always have lemons in the house, because sometimes they go bad too. So I'm trying to do like overlap with my grocery shopping. It just makes me feel so good, so clean, so ready for the day every morning. Continuing the workout regimen, talked about that a little bit. Connecting with my family is extremely important to me right now. I mean, it's obviously got a microscope on it at the moment because of what's going on in our lives. But if anything good came of it, it just feels like we are so much closer because we've realized how important it is to us. So that's something I definitely want to continue. And continue calendar blocking, because calendar blocking is life. I love calendar blocking. If you don't know what calendar blocking is, go check out a video I did on it, because if you are worried about how you're spending your time and if you're spending it well and how you can be more efficient with it, then you should definitely be looking into calendar blocking and stop relying so much on your task list. Okay, so my start list. So one thing is just a practical thing. At Aftermark, we have weekly team meetings, and I am not usually present in those meetings. And that's just a structural change we're making in the business. I'm going to start to be at those meetings, so that's a nice, good start thing for me. The next is being more open about my opinions. So I oftentimes keep them to myself, and I've realized it's not doing anybody any favors, because then when I do have an opinion, everybody seems to be blindsided. So I don't think I mean this online so much as I mean in my personal life, but definitely a little bit of both. And I also want to start taking more photos. I briefly mentioned this, but something am terrible at is actually taking photos. I know it sounds crazy. Like I'm in Instagram stories sometimes, but Vin and I will often find that we travel somewhere and we forgot to take a photo together, or sometimes I just want to see somebody, go to coffee with somebody and be excited to just spend time with them. But then sometimes I'll be like, I probably won't see that person for a year. It'd be great to have a picture with them. Why didn't we just take a selfie? Like, I feel like we've gotten to this point where so much photography and videography is happening that sometimes we're like, let's not do it so we can take a step back and just enjoy the moment. But also capturing the moment is so special. So I'm trying to find that balance. Like, how can I have more photos? How can I document more? But, not everything has to be a YouTube video. Not everything has to be this grand production. But I could have gotten a selfie. And I also think the selfies are going out of style, which I don't like, and I want to bring them back. We need to bring the selfies back. Finally, my stop list. So I have a few things here that I would like to stop doing. First, I would like to stop saying the F word. I say it a lot. I know that's kind of blindsiding to people in my digital life because I don't like to have cuss words on any of my digital work. It's embarrassing, which is probably part of the reason why I want to stop saying it. When I say it's embarrassing, I just think it's something that I don't like to see myself on camera saying, which is why I don't make a habit of it and why I don't make a habit of it here. But you know what? For some reason, when I don't have to see myself saying it, it just flies. So I'm working on that personally because I just don't think it has much poise, if we're being honest. I also want to stop eating meat because I just don't enjoy it. I keep eating chicken because it's supposedly healthy, and honestly, I just don't like it. I don't like chicken. I don't mind a filet mignon, but it's not like I'm having a filet mignon all the time. I'm not eating beef all the time. I'm eating chicken all the time, and I don't even like it. So I'm just in a situation where I just don't want to. So I'm sorry if I sound like whiny, but this is my rationale to myself. I just keep telling myself, why do you keep eating meat? You don't even like it. I love fish, so we're not going vegetarian. We're going pescatarian. So that, I think, I'm very hopeful for next year. Stop shooting for perfection, because obviously, gotta stop shooting for perfection. It's just not a thing. It's just not a thing. And this one's tough. This one's really tough. And it's the last thing I'm pretty much going to say in terms of my 2019. So I really need you to help me be a little bit accountable, because I know you're out there and I know you're thinking the same thing. And quite frankly, this isn't much of a problem for me, but it's just like a would be nice, like prove it to yourself kind of thing. I think I'm going to stop drinking just for the beginning part of the year. I feel like I'm doing a lot of work at the gym and drinking is not helping. That being said, it's New Year's Eve. I'm having a dope New Year's Eve party tonight. And so I will be drinking today. So this definitely is a January 1 kickoff. But yeah, as much as I love Prosecco, pretty much everyone in my life knows how much I love Prosecco because everybody keeps giving me t-shirts and notepads and books and everything revolving around Prosecco. I love that so much. I think I'm going to take 3 months off. That's what I was thinking. Just 3 months to get fit, get, where I need to be, and just for the heck of it. Because quite frankly, I don't even need it. Just sort of another thing I can check off. But again, just a guideline, not a resolution. And it's just something me and Vin have been talking about. Like, why are we doing this? We're also a part of way too many wine clubs, so this could be difficult. All right, that's what I've got going on in 2019. I want to hear about yours as well. Pop over to my Instagram and leave a comment on my latest Instagram photo and let me know. How are you planning to approach 2019? Tell me your word. What is your word of the year? Or what is your 1 or 2 resolutions? That was a lot of details, so no detail recap today. I think you're going to come up with your word, come up with some resolutions, and Think about this as an opportunity for a fresh start, not an obligation for a fresh start. And I'm very, very excited to be going into 2019 with you, as always. Do you love getting advice straight to your earbuds? Would you like some simple steps for living your best life every day? Then I want to send you a free audio training with the 7 essential details for going after the life that you want. To receive this audiogram, subscribe to this podcast and take a screenshot to show me you're subscribed. Email that screenshot to hello@detailspodcast.com with audiogram please in the subject line, and we will get that right over to you. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it as always. Remember, if you want to discover even more actionable details, head over to Amy TV by typing the URL in your browser, youtube.com/AmyTV, or search for Amy Landino in your YouTube app. Subscribe for good vibes, kiss the ones you love, and remember to go after the life that you want. Cheers.